before we watch this, and we're not going to watch the whole thing, I just want to give some background on an article from the New York Post about Nick Cannon and his willingness to sit here and procreate with different women because of reasons. Okay? So before we watch that, I just want you all to understand, who's sitting across the table from Umar and how they're like two peas in a pod. So this one is Nick Cannon. This was back in 2021. Nick Cannon explains that he's had more kids since then, as an FY. He explains unorthodox lifestyle. It ain't my decision. Ain't. It ain't. Because English. So it says here, Nick Cannon having multiple babies with multiple girlfriends. I hope you guys can see it. I'm gonna take down the thing so y'all can see it. You sent me an email with videos. Okay, cool. All right, we'll check that out. You can't make this up. That Turner was gay. Was it gay? That Turner was gay. They can't spend too much time with Howard Stern. So I said maybe it's maybe it's the lady he was talking to at the airport. No, I'm asking about the Snow Bunny doll. She light skinned. The Snow Bunny. Did you see the Snow Bunny doll that was next to Umar? I get it, but there should have been. If you're, doing some sort of celebration of Nat Turner, why would there not be one? But who's the Snow Bunny doll supposed to represent? I'm just asking the question here. So this is God. So before we get to that, this is who Umar Johnson was sitting down talking to. This is Nick Cannon here. He's talking about having multiple babies with multiple girlfriends. It's the father of seven's way of rebelling against the Eurocentric institution of marriage. First off, hard stop right there. The institution of marriage predates the continent of Europe being established as a continent. And it's as if no other race or ethnicity of people understood the institution of marriage. So what is he talking about? He is deducing the aspect of the institution of marriage to being a Eurocentric concept, and no other race has ever practiced or ever accepted the institution of marriage. No other race of people. This is all coming from Europe. This is Nick Cannon's response, of course, to an interview he did on the Breakfast Club, because they don't challenge nothing. I don't take them seriously. So he says he's rebelling against the Eurocentric institution of marriage as if it belongs to Europe and no other country. That's a Eurocentric concept. The idea that you're supposed to have this one person for the rest of your life. At the time, he was 40. You're 40 years old thinking like a 16-year-old kid that just discovered that it has hormones and your sac just dropped. That is not a concept limited to Europe, Nick Cannon. You're an idiot, and you need to read history. The idea that the institution of marriage is limited to being a Eurocentric concept is egregious and ignorant. So let's take the entire continent of Africa. Going back to the beginning of civilization, with mankind being, born and existing here on earth. I'm Christian, so I believe God created men and women and human beings. But people got married going back to 5,000-6,000 years ago. Like, we're going back in time here. How they got married, who married them, evolved over time. But it was not solely done in the continent of Europe. It's not an idea or concept that belongs to just anything relating to Europe. So that excuse is so stupid. It's like a dumb reason to try to justify making all these babies with all these different women at the same time. Some of these babies were born days apart from each other. So he's not rebelling against a Eurocentric idea that is not limited or was created by the continent of Europe. He's rebelling against the institution of marriage in general because he has not gotten remarried since he divorced Mariah Carey. Nick Cannon, all you have to say is that I don't want to go through marriage again because my divorce cost me a lot of damn money. And I'm just not in the mood. I don't really see myself getting married again. Why not just say that? Or that you're a polygamist and you just want to have multiple women at the same time and then create a compound, go buy a bunch of land. So at least all the women can live on the same land together, even if you give them different houses. At least they should be all in the same neighborhood. Because how are you spending time with all these kids like this when some of them are days apart? And I'm talking about multiple women giving birth days apart from each other. So the moment one gives birth, you're going to fly out to the hospital, be with that one, and be like, oh, shoot, I got to get to my next baby mama that's in labor. And when I say days apart, I mean days apart. So it goes through a little timeline here where it starts out with him getting married and have kids with Mariah Carey. It's my understanding that those are his first kids that he had with her, and they're twins, right? The idea, he said, the idea that a man should have one woman, we shouldn't have anything. I have no ownership over this person. What does marriage have to do with ownership? Marriage is a union. It is a connection between two individuals. It's a forging of relationship between two individuals. Why does it have to automatically equate to ownership? This is his concept of marriage, people. Just so he could just try to justify having all these damn kids at once. That he knows some of them will be neglected because he can't physically be there for every single child at the same time, for everything that's going on with them. He has to pick an event. Yeah, I'm going to go to these kids' birthdays on this day and then try to make it to these kids' birthdays. But what if they're born on the same day? You're going to split the day up? And then what if something's going on where the kids want you to be there with them the whole time? And do these women even talk to each other? I mean, would it be a situation where they could all be together in the same room with Nick Cannon, if necessary? Let's say these kids, a couple of them are like 6 days apart, something like that. Let me go up. Let's go down. Let's scroll down. Because I want to be accurate when I say this. These women and all women are the ones that open themselves up and say, I would like to allow this man into my world and I will birth this child. What do you mean? It's called a condom. Why aren't they on contraceptives? So birth control is not a concept for these women? And they're stupid enough to sit here and procreate and pull these kids into this situation, knowing damn well he can't be physically present in person for all of these kids at one time like that. Unless they all live together in the same area, same community or whatever. Because it's not about you, Nick Cannon. It's about the children here that are going to have to experience a lot of neglect. Because you know you can't be there for all of them at once. So you got to pick and choose which child's birthday you're going to go to. You said one person cleared it. What? Name the individual. Aren't these dolls supposed to represent people? Well, it's just, some sort of figurative language here. What's the concept of marriage is derived from the Bible, which was written by Jews in the Middle East. I mean, it goes back before that. But yes, if we go along the lines, of course, as a Christian, I believe God created, mankind. So marriage, the idea and the institution of it existed well before the concept of Europe being a continent existed. And he's saying, oh, no, it's a Eurocentric idea. No, it's not. You're saying that no other race of individuals understood the aspect of marriage. It's not something limited to that one continent. What about the other continents? North America, South America, Africa, Australia. Human beings existed on Earth, spread out everywhere, before nations started forming and being called what they are. You can't make this up. And he's trying to make it seem like, oh, it's the women's fault. They open themselves up to me, knowing damn well I refuse to wear a condom. You end up, man, giving around, spreading around HIV and AIDS or some STD or of any sort. Why would you risk that? Why would they be okay with him sleeping with not just themselves, but other women all at the same time like this? You mixing up all that bodily fluid. I hope they're getting tested regularly because, it's the expectation that they're not to date anyone else either. Are they all in a relationship with Nick Cannon? Is this a polygamous relationship? You can't make this up. They had marriages in the ancient world, so he can just say he doesn't want to get married again. Exactly, Francisca. Shout out to you. How you doing? Two become one. Exactly, Skeeter. Skeeter, how long have you and Mark been married? Do you mind me asking? How long have you and your husband been married? So that people can know that it's okay to be married and that you can actually be married for, rest of your life if you want to. You got to be able to say that you have found the right person in your life to be your husband and a wife, and that you are willing to work through problems and issues to have your marriage last. So if Nick Cannon doesn't want to get married again, you're right, Francis. That's what it comes down to. He just doesn't want to get married again. But what does it have to do, Nick Cannon, with you wanting to just get people pregnant? And then you're trying to make it seem like it's the women that's doing this. They opening themselves up and say, I would like to have this man in my world, have a child with him. Why does sex have to lead automatically to a pregnancy? Why can't you use a condom? Maybe they just want to have sex with him and not necessarily have his baby. But if he's not using condoms, they're not using contraceptives, they're willing to just sit here and get pregnant for what? Financial security? You're using these kids as leverage to try to get financial security. And Nick Cannon is dumb enough to do it. Because, it ain't my decision. I'm just following suit. Oh, my God. This is coming from somebody that's over 40 years old in 2021. It ain't my decision. I'm just following suit. So is there a line or number that women take where they call him and say, hey, I want to have your baby. You mind coming out? This is so stupid. He's an idiot. Nick Cannon is an idiot. And he's just bringing all these kids into his nonsense. He's involving all of these children into his nonsense. He's got the twins with Mariah. He's got 2 children with powerful Queen Cannon. What the? With a Miss Guam 2014 pageant winner. Does she still live in Guam? Because that would prove my point. You wouldn't be able to be there for these 2 kids if you got to be there for these 2 kids here. And there's something going on with these 2 kids where you got to miss out on anything going on with these 2 kids. And these are just 4 so far. We haven't even gotten down the list. Then he had 2 children with DJ Abby De La Rosa. And they're twins. And then it says, then just 9 days later, on June 23rd, became the father of the 5th son, Zen, with model Alisa Scott. I'm not going to keep butchering her name. 9 days later. Because Nick Cannon, there will be no earthly way that you would be able to be there for both of these twins and then this baby at once. They're 9 days apart. And they're by 2 different women. You got a set of twins and a single boy 9 days apart. So obviously he's not working anymore because he's going to spend the rest of his life traveling everywhere to try to be with a child for a birthday 9 days after the twins' birthday. These kids deserve better. They deserve to have 2 parents in the household. They deserve to have both parents present in their life constantly. Not when, daddy plane lands and he's able to catch a flight out. How many days of first days of school did he miss? Because all these kids go to, at some point they're going to get to school age. And I know as a mother, I love being there for my kids on the first day of school. First day of school, Christmas, and their birthdays. It's like those are pivotal moments you don't want to miss with your kids. And that's not including extracurricular activities or anything like that. There's no way you're there for all these kids unless they're all living in the same house or they're all, all on the same street. Maybe they have houses where they're all in the same neighborhood. How does this go? You can't make this up. What's going on, Black Titanic? His seed is spreading across the country and he has no shame. Exactly. Polyamorous. What's going on, Bernard? My first marriage. Here we go. Saint has been married for 25 years. Shout out to you. Skeeter said her first marriage was 23 years. Mark is it. 9 years. I mean, so your second, okay, so Mark is 9 years, and the first marriage is 23 years. That's still a long time. That's a blessing. Saint's been married for 25 years. Oh, you're saying you're polyamorous. Oh, okay, gotcha. But the fact that it's very possible to have a marriage last over 2 decades, it's like to Nick Cannon, it's a foreign concept. It's a Eurocentric concept to be married. As if no other race of people established the institution of marriage on earth in any reality in Nick Cannon's world. He's an idiot. Nick Cannon is stupid. Julie said, I was stationed in Guam when I was in the Navy. There is a high per capita of ladyboys there. Ooh. Thomas said, Lady Luck, what's up? I love your platform. Thank you. That warms my heart to hear. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is nice to hear that people are enjoying the content, and we're growing the channel, the Luckster family here. I don't know if you guys have noticed, we're almost at 30,000 supporters, and I would love to be there by the end of next week. So make sure you're coming in, you're enjoying the content. I speak my mind on things. I just call a spade. Everybody's not going to always agree, and that's okay. That's the beauty of free speech. As long as you don't try to infringe upon my free speech and my First Amendment rights and my opinion on things, I will not do that with you. And we don't have to agree on it. But I appreciate that. That's, and I appreciate all of you. I got my moms in here are awesome. The supporters, the members, all of you guys are awesome. So make sure you guys hit that like button as well. Thank you so much, Thomas. Mark said he needs to take command of his wayward. What's going on, Artis? Another mod. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for tuning in, you all. I told you all, my mods are awesome. There's no way he is there for all of those kids. Exactly. If he's in Guam, there's no way possible. And you're talking about this kid he had with this lady in Guam being 9 days apart from these twins. You can't make this up. And who's a DJ? Abby, is she really a DJ? This is crazy. And then you have this, he's got more kids since then. He says, okay, if we're really talking about how we coexist and how we populate, it's about what exchange can we create together. No, it's about a human life that you've procreated that you need to stop treating like an object. These kids are not just objects to exchange. Exchange what we created together? Where's the exchange in this? Because these women are sitting here waiting on those child support checks. He probably would not have to, be put in a position where he's got to go to court. Because I don't think I've read anything about somebody having to take him to court. But it's the idea of you being there for these kids. That should go beyond money, Nick Cannon. Why you stupidly and ignorantly think that the institution of marriage is simply a Eurocentric idea. when other countries and other races of individuals understood the institution of marriage thousands of years, even before Europe was established as a continent. You can't make this up. You're treating kids like an object to exchange. I understand the institution of marriage, but if we go back to what that was about, oh God, because more stupidity coming out of him. It was to classify property. So the kids are property. He added, referring to the dowry system, the practice of trading a woman into marriage in exchange for money or property that was popularized in England between the 12th and 18th centuries. You idiot. Human beings existed before the 12th century, let alone the 18th. What are you talking about? Marriage was in existence before the 12th century. Does he really think that humanity does not go past the 12th century? Because that's what he's saying here. That was not when marriage started. What is he talking about? He's so stupid. Nick Cannon is an idiot. Does he really believe that the institution of marriage was not established until the 12th century in England? In England, of all places. Not any country in Africa. To get that. Or North America. Or South America. Or Asia. No. England, 12th century. That's where it started. What? What an idiot. How is he wealthy? Oh, that's right. He did dumb things, and it's like, he's not even a good actor. Get out of here. It's unclear whether the leading ladies of his life are happy about Cannon's staunch commitment to non-commitment. I mean, if they're stupid enough to sit here knowing that he's out here just sleeping with everybody, because he's a public figure. You can't hide that. That's not something he could just keep secret. So they had to know he out here with a whole lot of women. Yeah, that's why I'm going to call him and see if he want to come lay with me and give me some babies. What? Every woman in my life that I deal with or have dealt with, they know how I feel. So, okay, so they are okay with you running around here procreating like you stupid. And it usually is a concept like, I'm not going around like, who am I going to impregnate next? Yet no, it sounds like that. Because you could be telling them no and wear a condom. If it's a matter of just sex, then you could just put on a condom. You can make sure you're not running around here raw dogging it, getting these women pregnant. It's so stupid. But, they devalue themselves and they lower their value, and they decide to go along with this nonsense and bring kids into the situation where Nick Cannon sees them as an exchange, because he thinks that marriage did not exist before the 12th century in England. He's an idiot. When you really look at how the family infrastructure is designed, the woman is the one that always leads and makes decisions. Where is he getting that from? Okay, so he doesn't believe that the men should be, head of the household and the leaders and the protectors. The one that helps to take care of the kids. It's so ridiculous. And these women are going along with it. He said, for every single one of my kids, I'm at every basketball game. I'm at every martial arts practice. People don't understand how I do it, but my children are my priority, because it's not physically possible. It's not humanly possible. Ye who thinks that marriage did not exist before the 12th century in England. Never mind all the countries in Africa. In England. This is the idiot that decided to do an interview with this idiot right here.